First graders, we're here at Roaring Creek at the school on the nature trail. And we are going to do a stream study. This is going to be super fun, as my son likes to say. What we're going to do is we're going to explore a stream for the life in the stream. And I bet you don't realize all the life that you can find in a stream. I'm going to have Michaela and Michael, Michaela being our 6th grader for the day, and Michael representing the 1st grade class. I'm going to ask them, what do you think you might see or find in the stream today? Yes, Michael?
You might find like little mini creatures.
Mini creatures. I wonder what they would be. What do you think some of the mini creatures are?
Miniature lobsters.
Oh, miniature lobsters. Do you know what they're called? Crayfish.
Yeah,
So maybe we'll find some crayfish. Do you think we'll find anything else? What lives in a stream?
fish.
Yeah, fish. Anything else?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, I have explored a stream with you before, and we would pick up rocks and find some pretty cool stuff. Instead of spoiling it for all the 1st graders at home, I think we should just go do a stream study. What do you think?
Yes.
How do you think we should act when we're in the stream?
Very careful.
We should be very careful.
And very quiet.
Being quiet is always good in nature. We talked about using our senses earlier, boys and girls, and we also talked about how important it is to use our sense of hearing. If we're going to hear things in nature, it's probably good to be quiet. Well, of course, at the stream, what do we hear?
We hear water.
Yeah, which is loud. So sometimes it's hard to hear around a stream when it's, when there's lots of water running and the rapids make a noise. So we're going to go in. And it's be careful. So we should always protect the habitat.
Yeah,
So if we turn over some rocks to find things, do we keep them out of the water or what do we do?
We put them right back where they were.
Yes. So remember, animals live there. It's their habitat. So when we disturb the habitat, we're going to try and put it back. But we are going to show you some special ways that you can collect some animals out of the stream. First, what we're going to do is we're going to fill a bucket of water. I like to use a white basin or bucket so that we can see the critters in it very easily. Michael, can you go fill that up for stream water?
Yep.
The next thing we're going to take is some basic kitchen strainers. The other thing I'm going to take is a cup. And I have like a little toothbrush, and I'll show you what we're going to do with that. The other thing we're going to use in the stream is called a kick net. And we're going to show you how to use a kick net today to collect animals in a stream. So let's go do a stream study. So here we have our basin. This is where we're going to collect all the great things we're going to find. Michael, I'm going to give you a strainer. And when Michaela comes down, or maybe Mrs. Meyer would like one as well.
I'd love one. I love the stream study.
So, Michael, what we're going to do with the strainer, I'm going to show the kids how they can collect animals with the strainer. First of all, this cup is to take with you, especially if you go away from the shoreline, because these animals live in water. So we want to make sure that they survive and they're comfortable. So any animals we find, we're going to actually put into the cup. Michael, why don't you pick up a rock and bring me from the water? A lot of times when you're exploring a stream, now bring me the rock, you don't even need to do much. So if you pick up a rock, sometimes you'll see little things crawling on it. And what you can do is take your brush, put it in there. That was super small. I don't think we're even going to see that. But we look around the rock. Sometimes when you lift up rocks, you'll see these structures made of little stones. Those are made by caddisfly larvae. So this is a caddisfly larva that's built a home, and inside is the larva. You actually see the larva right there. Do you see it moving around? So that's a caddisfly. When you look in a stream, we forget about all the little things that you find in a stream and how cool they are and important they are to the stream. We're going to actually put the caddisfly in here So a lot of people know that fish live in the stream, but what people don't know sometimes is that cool insects live in the stream too. And we know that fish need things to eat, and so these insects are an important part of the life cycle. Here's another caddisfly, but we only need one. So I'm going to let that caddisfly continue to build his house. And let's talk about why they build these really cool houses. They build these houses because they try to camouflage, because these insects eat other insects. So they camouflage into the nature using these houses so other insects can't see them. So as they're swimming by, then they can come out of their house and capture that insect and eat it. When you lift up rocks, a lot of time you'll find all different kinds of houses. Here's a small one being built here. They actually cement the rocks together. They excrete something. They actually use kind of a liquid that they make, and they make these houses. That is a very easy way to find things in nature. Sometimes they'll use debris from leaves. Here's another one building a house. There's an insect called a water penny that attaches to rocks, and it looks like it has a shell, and it looks like a little penny. Those insects you can only find in very clean streams, ones that aren't polluted. So when you find water pennies, you think, oh, that's a stream that's really good quality water. Michael, can you show us how you use your strainer to catch things?
You go over right here. Put it down. Like that.
And then, can you rub the rocks above it? So everything, here, Michael, let me show you. Watch. If you do this, and you hold it here, and then you rub all the rocks and dirt above it, right? And everything will flow right down into. Now sometimes you'll come up and you won't have anything, and that's fine. So you empty it out and start again.
You empty it out like when we go in a deep spot for the back.
Now, what type of animals you catch in the stream depends on where you catch them. If you look at the stream, you'll see that there's a lot of rapids here, especially down there. Different types of animals are going to live in that part of the stream. Then the stream up here, where it's not it doesn't flow as fast. And so if we look there, we might find insects that don't maybe require a fast-moving stream. So where you look in the stream for animals, you might find different things. But I want you to be careful. When you're exploring a stream, especially like this rapid area down here, that can be very fast and slippery. And you could easily slip and fall and be carried down the stream. So please be careful when you're exploring streams. Only go into areas that look safe. Also, I want to encourage you to wear the proper footwear when you're in a stream. I have closed-toed shoes on. They're a type of water shoe, but they tie, so they stay on my foot. They're very tight. The other thing you have to remember is other people use the stream. People who fish use the stream. Also, when it floods, people's things from their yard get washed downstream. Sometimes broken glass gets into the stream, nails, or fish hooks. So you want to make sure you protect your feet. All great fisher people will protect their feet, and they use special boots. Also, it's very slippery. So if you don't have good shoes that can get traction on the rocks, you could easily slip and fall and hurt yourself. And you should never go in a stream where the water is very deep and the current is very fast. This is a very slow-moving stream today, so this is perfect for us to do a stream study. Next, I want to show you how professionals do a study in a stream using a special net called a kick net. And I'm going to have my assistants help me today with the kick net. This is called a kick net, and pretty soon you'll find out why it's called a kick net. So I'm going to have my assistant, Michaela, help me with this. And I think this looks like a great area. Now, Michaela, can you hold this right here, or do you want to do the kicking? You want to hold it? Michaela's going to hold it downstream while standing downstream. You want to make sure you can dip it a little bit lower. There you go. But don't let this actually go into the water. So here is the kicking part. This is why we call it a kick net. So one thing, Michaela, you're gonna make sure this stays down. So you gotta make it taut. There you go. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kick all the habitat. And this is what biologists do. I'm gonna try and hold this down. I'm gonna kick and kick. I'm gonna use my hands. The water is cold today. And usually they kick the same amount of square that you have. Michael, could you move over, please? Thank you. And you'll see what's happening is it's catching everything that I'm kicking out.
I see something. Right there. Ew, look at that.
Oh, that's great. That's a stonefly. The reason why I picked this spot in the stream is insects and the fast-moving parts, there's lots of oxygen. We're going to take it over to the shore. We're just going to carry it like this and very carefully bring it over. And I see my paintbrush here. This stonefly is super cool. Now, stoneflies, you'll see that these flies, a lot of them have these tails. We'll just scooch it in there and we'll put it in our big bucket where we can see it better. Let's look around and see if we found anything else. Here's another stonefly. That's great. Stoneflies are also a great indicator of good, clean water.
There, is that something?
Yes. And this is, I think, a type of mayfly. There's different types of mayflies.
Oh, there's a couple.
And I think we have a couple.
There's a baby stone.
Oops. Oops. I don't want to hurt them. That's why I'm using the brush, but I can try to pick this one up. It's pretty sturdy.
I want to see if anyone.
And then there was another one in here. Well, actually, this looks like almost. We'll see what it's like when we get it in the bucket.
Look, there's another stone.
Ooh, right there. When we get it in the white bucket and it starts swimming around, we'll be able to see it better, but I'm pretty sure this is a mayfly. I'll just pick it up. And right here's the other ones. These are a different type of mayfly, and we'll get those while we can. There we go. But there's all kinds of cool things. If I was doing a real study as a biologist, I would take every living thing I found in the kick net off of the kick net. And then I would also count the species and the different types of species, and I would learn something about the stream. Oh, this is super cool. That looks like a dragonfly nymph. Actually, it could be a mayfly nymph too.
Is that a stonefly?
That's another, it's a mayfly.
Oh, look at that guy there.
Oh yeah, is it a hellgrammite? Oh, perfect. If you were here today, this is the great stuff we would be finding, but I do know that you all can find this in streams. Sometimes when we look at streams, we think about the big things, the fish, the frogs, the crayfish, and we forget about these important insects that those animals survive on. So let's look in our container now and look at some of the things that we found. Now, I wish I had your help today because I know there's way more animals in this stream. But because I don't have your help, we're only going to look at a few today. There's the stonefly nymph. Mrs. Mark, could you go up and get that sheet that's on the table? This stonefly nymph is a fly. Do you know how butterflies change? It's called metamorphosis. So they go from an egg to a caterpillar to a cocoon and then to an adult. Well, insects have the same type of life cycle, but we call it incomplete metamorphosis because we're missing one phase of that life cycle. So this stonefly here actually will go from an egg to a stonefly to an adult. So it will actually, once it's old enough, it will hatch out of that shell and it will become a fly. Which phase is it missing, kids? So it's missing one phase. You're right. It doesn't have a cocoon. So that's why they call it incomplete metamorphosis. If you look at this sheet here, and I'll try to send you something for at home, This is all the different insects that you could find in a stream. They call them macroinvertebrates. It's because we can see them with the eye. We don't need a microscope. So they're macroinvertebrates. We can see them. These are insects that you can find, and if we look at this chart, we know that we found a stonefly. So on this chart, if we look here, the stonefly is right there. Okay, and you can identify them. Shells, no shells, legs, no legs. This helps you identify them.
Is this a creature?
And this one has 1 or 2 tails. When we're at the stream, it's really exciting because, no, I don't think so, Michael. Good try though. There's always
Wait,
great.
it has legs.
Okay.
Right there.
We'll see. We'll look at it later. So, as I was saying, this is a stonefly. The other things that we're finding, we can use this to help identify us. So we found caddisfly larvae. Here's a caddisfly that makes their home out of sticks. This one makes it out of pebbles. That's sort of like the ones that we found. They live in a stone house. We found what looks like remnants of a water penny, which I said looks like a little penny. And a lot of these down here are characteristic of really good, clean water. So we're really happy when we find things like this. Now let's talk about the mayfly nymphs. We did find several species of mayflies, and I'd like to point them out. So here's one species, and you'll notice it has 3 tails at its end. And if you see those right on its abdomen, those are gills. That helps it breathe underwater. Here's another type of mayfly species, same species. See them swim? So interesting. The other thing I want to show is, I know we have another type of mayfly in here, and it's on this rock camouflage. See? Here's another type of mayfly here. There it goes. That's a mayfly. It has 3 tails. It's just a different species. There's so many. So another thing I want to talk about, there's 2 other very cool insects that we found in the stream during our kick net sample. And this one right here, look at its tails. They're so cool. They have 3 tails, but they're flat. That's what we call a damselfly nymph. Have you ever found a damselfly? The beautiful flies, they look like dragonflies, but their wings are back, straight over their backs instead of out to the sides. That's a damselfly nymph. It's going to come out and hatch out to be a damselfly. That's cool. I don't know if we ever found a damselfly in our nature study, so that's cool. Another one I want to show you, which is super cool. You got to be careful of this one. This one, look at it bite. It has big pinchers on the end. This is called a helgramite. And helgramites have big pinchers. Some of the kids, and they get bigger than this. This isn't as big as it can get. It can get very big, but those pinchers they can actually use to pinch your finger. So be careful with helgramites, okay? And they actually hatch out to a very large fly. Very interesting things today. So that gives you an idea of all the cool things that you can actually find in a stream. So we could do this kick net several more times and probably find new things. But we have a lot in our container right now. We haven't found any crayfish, but I would suggest for crayfish is looking for crayfish in areas, if you look downstream, underneath the tree, there's a little area that's shallow. Crayfish also like rocks to hide under.
I see something!
Yeah, where did it go?
A crayfish! A crayfish!
Yeah.
A crayfish! Get it.
I know, it's super exciting.
Crayfish.
So we know when we explore streams that there's always a good chance you're going to find a crayfish. And earlier someone said about small lobsters, and that's what they look like. They actually look like
I said about them.
small lobsters.
I said that.
But they're indeed what we call a crustacean. They have a hard shell and they have the pinchers. They will pinch to defend themselves. They're trying to protect themselves. Luckily, this one's still small, so its pinchers aren't big enough to really pinch or hurt me. Look how they swim. They're actually using their tail to go backwards.
It's curling up every time they
Yeah.
go backwards.
It's like a scoop. Crayfish too molt, so they'll lose their skin as they get older. So sometimes you can find casings of crayfish in the water. And in some places, they do eat them as a food, or they use them to fish with. And they're super cool. Also, Michael and I are going to show you how to properly put all the insects back into the stream. One thing you have to remember, these insects are very small and they can be very fragile. You have to be gentle with them. So when we return these to the water, we're going to do so. When we return them to the water, Michael, do we want to
Just
dump them from here?
No, we need to put them back where the place they came from.
Okay, well that would be good too. But how should we empty it in? Should we do it from up here or should we do it down here gently?
We should go down there gently.
Okay. Fantastic. Michael, do you want to release them back into the stream?
But the crayfish needs to go.
Well, why don't we keep the crayfish and we can put it back where it came from?
And let me go and deep stuff. That's usually where the animals.
And then slowly. So the mayflies can stick to the bottom of your container because they're very good at attaching to things. So let's just give it a little, and we'll rinse it out. And there you go, they're all back in nature. We're now going to release the crayfish because Michael thinks it's a good idea to release it where we found it.
Found something.
And I agree with him. Michael, that's okay.
Right there.
It's a mayfly. So you can see the special habitat here. The water doesn't run quite as fast.
Can I
So the
put it
crayfish, yeah.
with that?
Can you hold it in your hand? Just cup your hand.
Oh, he's going to bite it.
No, he's not going to bite it. Okay, now sit him down in the water. There we go. This is the fun part about a stream. It's so fun to explore. And I'm sure you don't mind getting wet, just a little, right? We all love getting wet in the stream. Just know that too, if you're a fisher boy or a fisher girl, you like to go fishing, is that these insects are very important to the fish that live here. Okay, it's part of their life cycle, which I think is something that you probably are going to study in school if you haven't already. So please, I encourage you to go out, but remember to respect the habitat. Put everything back the way it was. It's hard when we do a kick net, but most of that life will come back and repopulate in all those rocks, okay? So if you have any questions, hopefully I can send you, I didn't bring pictures of the adults today, but I encourage you to take on your own time, is to look up some of the insects we found today, a stonefly, look up a dragonfly or a damselfly, and look at what it looks like as an adult, okay? That could be like a little homework assignment. So, thank you, first grade, for joining us today. I look forward to the time that I can get out in the stream with you, okay? So stay safe and have a great nature day.